The Philippines inflation rate slows down to 6% in November. Malacanang says this is due to the administration's effective anti-inflationary measures. The Department of Budget and Management trusts the second tranche of oil tax increase will not affect inflation.
In her heart of hearts, alam niyang pork yun. Ayaw niya lang sagutin.
And Senator Panfilo Lacson bears list of billions of pesos worth of projects allegedly inserted in the proposed 2019 national budget. Good evening. The year-on-year inflation rate in November slows down to 6% based on the report of the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Philippines' year-on-year inflation slows down to 6% in November 2018, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This is lower than the 6.7% recorded in October 2018. The latest report on inflation has pleased Malacanang, with economic managers pointing out in a statement the efficacy of the anti-inflationary measures implemented by the Duterte administration, such as the Administrative Order No. 13, which intensifies the importation of agricultural products. The economic managers say these programs must be strictly implemented and monitored. The economic team also insists on the timely arrival of rice imports to compensate for the lost palay harvest in the third quarter of the year. The PSA also reports a 5.6% decelerated inflation rate in the National Capital Region from 6.1% in October. However, the inflation rate in Central Luzon and Bicol region remains high. When compared to the year-on-year inflation rate in November 2017, which was 3%, the November 2018 inflation rate of 6% is still high. Nevertheless, Duterte's economic team remains optimistic that the inflation will stabilize further in the next term, but will keep a vigilant eye on upward pressures such as the volatility in the global oil market. Malacanang also assures everyone that the government will continue to monitor consumer prices to eradicate hunger and food insecurity. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
President Rodrigo Duterte has approved his economic manager's recommendation to continue with the implementation of the second tranche of oil excise tax in 2019. The Department of Budget and Management is confident that the collection of additional fuel taxes will barely affect the country's inflation. Rosalie Cos returns to tell us why.
During the cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Rodrigo Duterte has allowed the implementation of the additional 2 peso per liter tax on petroleum products in 2019. This is in light of falling world oil prices and moderating inflation pressures. World crude oil prices have sharply plummeted in recent weeks, making the condition for suspending the second round of oil excise tax inexistent. According to Section 43 of the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law, the scheduled increase in the excise tax on petroleum products can only be suspended when the average Dubai crude oil price reaches or exceeds $80 per barrel within a 3-month period. Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno also pointed out that the suspension of oil excise taxes in 2019 will lead to a full-year net revenue loss of 43.4 billion pesos that will surely affect government expenditures. With easing price pressures due to government efforts to boost food supply, Jokno is confident that the second round of oil excise taxes next year will not raise the country's inflation anew.
There's no basis for that argument. Kasi kahit may 2 peso increase sa tax, kumpara mo nga doon sa pinanggalingan niya, mas mababa pa ng 10 pesos. So there's no reason why there will be a second round effect.
In case there will be a sudden spike in world oil prices, Jokno assures they are ready to implement the provisions stated in the train law.
Nasa batas naman susundin lang natin yung batas. Kung halimbawa mag-hit nga siya ng 80 for the next 3 months, then we will suspend.
The Duterte administration also believes that opportunists will not be able to use the additional excise tax to increase the prices of agricultural products. However, Jokno stresses that the agriculture sector must be strengthened to hit the target revenue.
Hindi nga, kasi di ba merong administrative action sa Presidente na we are monitoring yung tinatawag na farm gate at saka yung retail price. Kasi lumalabas nga na halos 100% yung difference noon eh. Ngayon, tinututukan talaga yan ng Department of Trade and Industry at saka Department of Agriculture.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Transport groups, meanwhile, hit the government's move to continue the implementation of the second tranche of oil excise tax beginning January of 2019. Here's why from Joan Nano.
Transport Group Piston took to the streets earlier to air their sentiments on the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte to approve the economic manager's recommendation to push through with the second round of excise taxes on petroleum products in 2019. Piston's President George San Mateo calls the move unreasonable as this would only add to the burden of jeepney operators and drivers.
Doon sa excise tax, patunay lang na yung gobyerno gahaman talaga sa buwis. Kasi kahit bumaba ang presyo ng langis, hindi nga bumababa ang presyo ng bilhin at serbisyo eh.
Obet Martino Pasang Mazda also slams the government's move and expressed doubts on whether oil prices will continue to drop once the collection of additional oil taxes takes effect next month.
Nakalulungkot eh. Kagaya nga ngayon, itong pangyayari ng 38 na tayo ngayon. Baka sa February, January, tumaas bigla yan. Iipapauto na ang second tranche na excise tax, which is 2 pesos. Kaakibat ang 2 piso na yan, tumaas at bumaba ang presyo ng petroleum product. Paano kung tumaas?
Local oil prices have plummeted for 8 weeks in a row after world oil prices tumbled to lowest level amid fears of oversupply and escalating trade tensions. The domestic price of gasoline was observed to have a net rollback of 12 pesos, while diesel registered a 10 peso net decrease. Considering current oil prices plus the additional fuel excise tax, the Department of Budget and Management noted in a study that prices of gasoline and diesel are still lower when compared to the peak price recorded this year. The Department of Energy also projects that fuel prices will continue to go down next year. For this reason, LTFRB Chairman Martin Dalgra is confident that the additional fuel tax will not heavily burden jeepney drivers and operators.
We also have consulted with the DOE as to the projections, and the projections are favorable in that sense. No? So ibig sabihin na wala yung pagtataas kung may pagtataas man, not in the measure of the past several months na talagang sobra.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board cancels the franchise of the entire Dimple Star fleet. This is in relation to the March 20 incident, which resulted in the death of 19 individuals and injury of 21 others when a Dimple Star bus fell off a cliff in Sablayan Occidental, Mindoro. Based on the data of the LTFRB, Dimple Star has been involved in 8 accidents, wherein 25 individuals died and 134 others got injured. LTFRB Chairman Martin Dalgra explains they have decided to cancel the franchise of Dimple Star Bus Company due to the repeated negligence of the company and to prevent the recurrence of such accidents. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court upholds the decision of the Court of Tax Appeals acquitting former Pampanga Congressman Mikey Arroyo of tax evasion charges. It can be recalled that Arroyo was charged for failing to pay proper taxes and file income tax returns from 2004 to 2009. In a resolution, the Supreme Court Division stated that the Court of Tax Appeals thoroughly sifted the evidence and analyzed the records when it reviewed the elements of the offenses against Arroyo. The High Court added that the CTA, having noted that the Bureau of Internal Revenue failed to discover the sources of Arroyo's alleged questionable income, disclosed the reasons why the charges against Arroyo could not prosper and how the chosen audit procedure, known as the net worth method, was not enough to prove his criminal liability with the given information. In 2011, the BIR filed tax evasion raps against Arroyo after discovering several discrepancies on his net worth and declared income. His alleged unpaid taxes amounted to 27.4 million pesos for the years 2004, 2006, and 2007. Senator Panfilo Lacson divulged the alleged pork battle in the 2019 proposed budget. He emphasized that two of the district representatives received billions of pesos as allocation for their pet projects. Nel Maribok will tell us why.
Senator Panfilo Lacson questioned the apparent pork barrel insertions in the 3.75 trillion peso 2019 proposed budget that was approved by the lower house. According to Senator Lacson, a total of 56.7 billion pesos were realigned in the budget, and that a big chunk of it was primarily sourced from the allocated budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways, of which 20 billion pesos were allocated for 297 congressmen with 60 million pesos each for their pet projects.
Distributing 60 million to each and every congressman, all 297 of them, would constitute pork?
First of all, I cannot answer that question because I am not sure that the basis of that question is accurate.
Senate Committee on Finance Chairperson Senator Loren Legarda refuted the reported 200 million pesos allocation for each senator.
So there's no such thing as 200 million or 2 million, but it could be any amendment of any senator.
DPWH Secretary Mark Villar also distanced himself from the said realignment of budget.
Yeah, hindi rin masagot eh. Because in her heart of hearts, alam niyang pork yun. Ayaw niya lang sagutin.
Senator Lacson also divulged that two of the lawmakers in the House receive allocations worth billions of pesos for their projects, which he once again considered as pork barrel. He said the congressman has more than 1.9 billion pesos allocation for the projects in his district. Some of the projects are in Camarines Sur. The second is a lady district representative who has more than 2.4 billion peso allocation. Lacson also did not name the lawmaker, but he said most of her farm-to-market road projects are in Lubao and Porac, Pampanga. Senator Legarda defended the said realignment of budgets.
So may karapatan silang maglipat, magtanggal, magdagdag ayon sa tingin nila karapat-dapat sa ahensya.
Pero hindi po
o sa
para sa sarili nilang projects, Mr. President. Magdagdag sila sa ibang ahensya. Okay? Can you beat this? 500 million pesos in farm-to-market roads alone in one district. Malulunod sila doon, Mr. President.
But Lacson insisted that the said insertions of projects did not undergo consultations with the local and regional development council, which he said is a clear indication of grave abuse of discretion. He said that the huge budgets of the two lawmakers were not known to some congressmen.
As we heard it from most of the congressmen, wala nang plenary discussion nung inamend nila yung approved on second reading.
Despite this, some of the lower house lawmakers assured that there are no pork barrel in the proposed budget.
When we scrutinize, when we debate on the budget, we also propose projects and programs, and these are just concerns and needs of our constituents. But to tell that is pork barrel, maling-mali ho. Kasi ito yung mga initiatives na nandyan sa General Appropriation Bill na magiging parte ng General Appropriation Act na ang mag-i-implemento, hindi naman yung Kongreso. Ang mag-i-implement yung kanya-kanyang departamento, gaya ng Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Department of Public Works.
Senator Lacson will push for the removal of what he believes are pork barrel insertions. Nel Maribok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The National Wages and Productivity Board reminds employers to give their employees their 13-month pay not later than December 24. According to the Wage Board, even employees who have resigned this year should also receive the said privilege. Meanwhile, the board encourages employees to report to the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, should their employers refuse to give their 13-month pay. Bible Readers or Bread Society International conducts various public services in different parts of the country for a month. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Bible Readers or Bread Society International has been active in promoting Christian values from the Bible for 20 years now. The organization, which is comprised of students and professionals, lives by its motto, "We read, we listen, we act."
Advocacy po na pinasimulan 20 years ago, which is ma-encourage ang tao na magbasa ng Bible at after na mabasa yung mga aral na nakapaloob dun sa kasulatan ay may apply din naman sa sarili, magamit sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay.
In celebration of its 20th anniversary, Bread Society intensified its public services in various parts of the country. These include cleanup drive, gift giving, Bible and Bible rack giving, medical mission, volunteer work in government agencies, among others. After 2 decades, Bread Society is committed to continue its mission since it started.
Karamihan po doon sa mga kasama po namin sa Bread Society na nagpasimulang magbasa ng Bible, nung in-apply na po nila yung mga nabasa nila sa Bible, nagdulot yun ng malaking pagbabago sa buhay nila, na iba yung pananaw, nagkaroon ng mabuting direksyon, hindi basta-basta nag-give up sa buhay.
Bread Society is open to everyone who wants to become a member of the Bible reading community. The organization may be reached through their social media accounts. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. New Supreme Court Chief Justice Bersamin pushes to revise court rules and render more free legal services during his 11th month stint. DepEd Davao Region denies issuing a closure order for Lumad Salugpungan School in Talaingod, Davao del Norte. And the 2 belters of Camp Dunji Marcelo advanced to the next round of Discovery Season 2, The Singer and the Song. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of Y News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Mayor Paint. With Mayor, you paint more while you pay less.
Your week will never be complete without watching a Song of Praise Music Festival this Sunday.
Lord, forever and always we declare your name. Ganyan ang iyong pagmamahal. Ganyan ang iyong pagmamahal.
And I will sing this song, proclaiming who you are. You're my amazing God.
This is a Song of Praise
Music Festival Year 8.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I'm Angelo and here are the headlines. Solons slammed the passage of proposed charter change on second reading in the lower house. 64 candidates in 2019 elections apply for police escorts. And an ICT rights group says 12,000 villages in the Philippines still without internet access in the next 5 years despite the entry of the third major telco player. Makabayan lawmakers slammed the passage of the proposed charter change in the second reading in the lower house. Grace Cassin will tell us why.
The House of Representatives passed the Resolution Number 15 or the proposed charter change in second reading before the session adjourned last night. Controversial provisions of the bill include the lifting of term limits for lawmakers, removal of the anti-political dynasty provision, and the return to the two-party system. There is also a provision that the president may choose his or her vice president. They may serve 4 years each term with one re-election, and that all elected officials should be college graduates. But according to Makabayan Congressman, the House leadership railroaded the passage of the bill. They accused House Speaker Mikey Arroyo as one of the beneficiaries of the charter change.
Tunay na laman at layunin nito ay only political dynasties, no? Only term para sa mga politiko, only martial law kasi binabaan na talaga yung criteria para makapagdeklara ng martial law at only foreign plunder, no? Dahil binubukas ang ekonomiya, ang lupain, ang mga public utilities sa 100% foreign ownership.
You know that I did not participate in the debate because I have always said that my only contribution there is the mechanism for setting up the federal states. The others are all contributions of the other congressmen. They should answer for themselves.
House Committee on Constitutional Amendments Chairman Vicente Veloso said the House sets to pass the proposed charter change on third and final reading on Monday. Under the House provision, congressmen and senators will vote separately on the proposed new form of government. The bill needs 18 votes from senator and 219 from congressmen for it to be sent to a plebiscite. In the plebiscite, the people will vote if they are in favor to change the current constitution or not. But Senate President Vicente Soto said they do not have enough time to pass their version of the proposed charter change, while Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon earlier stated that the proposed charter change is already dead, even before it reaches the Senate.
Kung ayaw nyo, sabihin nyo kung ano doon ang ayaw nyo. Hindi yung sasabihin nyo kagad dead on arrival. Bakit sino ba kayo? You're only one half of Congress.
Veloso added that whether the Senate approves their version or not, they will pass it based on their timeline, and it's up to the public to decide.
They have the obligation now to either reject or approve. What we have done, amend or what? Pag hindi nila ganawa, a taxpayer can challenge them before the Supreme Court.
Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Chief Justice Bersamin underscored several of his reforms as he assumed his term in the Supreme Court. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
Chief Justice Bersamin spoke before the stakeholders during the culmination of judicial reforms project by the Supreme Court earlier, and jump-starting his 11-month stint, he underscored several priorities in the High Court under his watch, starting with the revision of the rules of court that for so long has been used in the justice system.
This is the main body of our procedural law, and this is entrusted only to the Supreme Court to modify or revise or amend, improve. We have often discussed in the Supreme Court the need for revisions, massive revisions, especially with the initiatives, the priorities given to us by Abaroli.
The new Chief Justice also highlighted the importance of giving the marginalized sector access to free legal service for the poor as he plans to tap law schools and law students to extend assistance to the poor.
We may initiate in the Supreme Court certain steps in order to translate these gains that we learn from them into reality.
Bersamin also noted the importance of having the lower courts benefit from infrastructure development and enhancement of their utilities, adding that as the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court must be independent.
We are part of a sovereign nation, the judiciary. But our role is to be an independent judiciary. We cannot always go to the two other branches of government in order to have their assistance. That is why our development partners have been very important to the Philippine judicial system.
Bersamin takes on the 11-month journey as the Chief Justice with his retirement on October next year. And with his track record of 32 years in serving the judiciary, the 69-year-old highest court magistrate vows and hopes that Filipinos will achieve speedier justice. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
President Rodrigo Duterte has expressed his intention to appoint outgoing Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Carlito Galvez Jr. as the next presidential peace advisor. According to presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, the president mentioned this during his cabinet meeting on Tuesday night. If the planned appointment pushes through, Galvez, who is set to retire on December 12, will replace former presidential peace advisor Jess Dureza. Dureza resigned from his post after the president fired two of his subordinates due to corruption allegations. The Department of Education in Region 11 clarifies it has not issued any order to close down the Salugpungan Community School in Talaingod, Davao del Norte, where lumad children are allegedly being taught with subjects and ideologies of the communist rebels. Janice Inhente tells us why.
The Department of Education in Davao Region refutes reports it has ordered to shut down the Salugpungan Community School in Talaingod, Davao del Norte. This is following reports that tribal leaders in the area closed down the learning center, amid allegations that lumad school children here are being taught with communism ideologies and methods of conducting rallies. According to DepEd 11 spokesperson Janelito Atilio, the permit to operate of Salugpungan Learning Center remains valid.
The Department of Education did not revoke the permit. The Department of Education did not close the school.
The said school has been mentioned in recent reports relating to the arrest of former lawmaker Satur Ocampo and 17 others. On November, authorities seized Ocampo and his collegios in a checkpoint for allegedly kidnapping 14 minors from the Salugpungan School for Lumad Children. DepEd urges concerned groups to show evidences to back their claims that lumad children in Salugpungan School are taught with communism ideologies.
Solid evidence so that we can appropriately act. But as of the moment, we have not received anything. So, kanang mga istorya nga dunay lahi nga curriculum na remains to be, that must be proven.
And even us, no, in the military, we have recovered documents from Salugpungan schools. Even yung ano pa nga meron pang mga bata na napakanta namin yung Lupang Hinirang na Lupang Sinira ang title.
DepEd, however, respects the tribal leaders and the provincial government's decision to close down the Salugpungan School. The agency is now looking for ways to help lumad learners in the area continue their education.
Ang tanang mga eskwelahan adjacent to the concerned Salugpungan School, katong mga bata dito, ang directive for the schools is to accept them. Accept all of those who came from those schools even without credentials.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue, Davao City.
President Rodrigo Duterte will not issue an executive order to shut down the islands of Panglao in Bohol and El Nido in Palawan to give way to rehabilitation efforts. According to presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, This was agreed during the cabinet meeting on Tuesday. Unlike Boracay Island, which was ordered totally closed for 6 months for rehabilitation, Panglao and El Nido Islands will remain open amid rehabilitation works. The government is preparing more cleanup efforts after it inspected El Nido last week. Several politicians vying for elections in 2019 have applied for police escorts, according to the Philippine National Police. Roby de Guzman explains why in this report.
64 candidates have already submitted their formal request to the Philippine National Police following a number of ambush incidents against politicians in Batangas, Cavite, and La Union. According to the PNP Police Security and Protection Group, among those who asked for police escorts are 3 senators, 49 congressmen, 6 local chief executives, 3 former government officials, and 3 private individuals running for the elections in May. A total of 116 police escorts will be assigned to them once the Commission on Elections approves their requests.
For those who will be running for elected positions, they have to reapply with the COMELEC. So they will have to download yung mga requirements from COMELEC website. Ang magiging role lang po ng PSPG is to certify that the personnel is a member of PSPG and that the firearms are issued to the personnel of PSPG.
Escobar says they are expecting more applications in the coming days, especially from areas with intense political rivalry.
The security personnel, isang preventive measure din natin para ma-achieve natin yung goal natin na maging peaceful yung election.
Meanwhile, Escobar says all existing security escorts of incumbent politicians will remain. The PSPG reminds politicians, however, to ask permission from the Supervisory Office for Security and Investigation Agencies of the PNP and from COMELEC should they wish to have additional escorts from the Protective Security Agency so as not to be associated with a private armed group. Roby de Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue.
An information and communications technology advocate group says thousands of villages in the Philippines will still have no access to the internet in the next 5 years, even if the third major telco player begins its operation in 2019. Monokson tells us why.
12,000 villages in the country will remain uncovered by the internet in the next 5 years, despite the entry of new major player Mislital Consortium in the local telecommunications industry. The group Democracy.net.ph explains this is because the commitment of the third telco player for their first 5 years will be focused on urban areas and not on the rural side.
Sayang naman. This is ito senyales talaga to na kahit na successful yung third new major player na entrance, kailangan pa ng mas marami. Kailangan pa natin ng 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and as many as possible.
The group admitted, however, that putting up internet connection in rural areas is a difficult task because of the limited infrastructure and available frequency. This is the reason why the group is pushing to amend some laws granting access in data transmission and spectrum management, among others. The group is also pleased to know about the growing number of Filipino internet users as reported in the latest survey of the social weather stations. Survey results showed that 41% of the total Philippine population uses the internet, mostly females aged 18 to 24.
Gaganda ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Also, makakapagdagdag ng serbisyo lalo na sa mga rural areas na magkakaroon na yung mga tinatawag na e-commerce, makakapagbenta, makakapagbili through the internet.
The group also believes that the growing number of Filipino internet users will bring significant shift in the upcoming midterm elections. This will also provide a new platform for politicians seeking to explore the digital landscape other than the traditional method of campaigning.
Pero hindi pa rin sapat yan para maging panalo ka dahil yung 41% paghahati-hatian pa yan.
Democracy.net.ph says that TV, radio, and broadsheets will not be out of the scene this coming elections. Mon Hokson, UNTV, News and Rescue, Makati City.
Composer Wishcoverer Junji Marcelo has chosen 2 belters to advance to the next round. Leslie Longbowen explains why.
After the first elimination of Camp Rani Raimundo of Wishcovery Season 2, The Singer and the Song, last night was the turn of Wishcoveries of National Capital Region to impress their composer Wishcoverer Junji Marcelo. Wishcovery viral auditionee Rhea Basco showcased her vocal prowess with Patuloy Ang Pangarap.
You have very strong engine. You have a nice voice and a good technique.
Angelica de Asis meanwhile gave her rendition of Muling Ibalik.
It's so promising na I think it will transcend competition. You will make a mark because of that voice. So don't ever change.
Lastly, Laika Escultura belted out Akin Ka Na Lang.
You just made me focus on the song. Pag hindi ako na-distract, ibig sabihin ang ganda ng pagkakanta. Hindi ako na-distract. Good job.
Rhea and Laika luckily advanced to the next round. However, Junji leaves a good promise to eliminated Wishcovery Angelica.
I promise you, we will do something. We will do something and we will create a song just for you.
Meanwhile, Wishcoveries of Camp Top Suzara are set to battle tonight at 9:30 p.m. on Wishcovery Season 2, The Singer and the Song on Wish 1075's YouTube channel. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. Tsunami evacuation alert issued in New Caledonia after magnitude 7.6 quake struck off the east coast of the French territory.
I have zero question in my mind that the Crown Prince, MBS, ordered the killing.
Top U.S. senators blame Saudi prince for Jamal Khashoggi's killing after receiving a briefing from the CIA. And a young Australian woman fitted with 3D printed jaw and new teeth in the world's first reconstruction. Those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angela Lagunsad. Good evening.